Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. We have another new battleship to take a look at here. This is the Tier 9 Zarya S, available through this BA event initially. We'll see if these are ever available in their normal premium ship version, but it's called the BA Hovercraft if you're using those event skins. It's pretty good at these closer ranges, as you can see. This is a Soviet battleship, so we get Soviet battleship dispersion table, which means at close range, it's incredibly accurate. And as soon as we get outside 11, 12 kilometers, it becomes less accurate than basically every other battleship in the game. Unless you get some blessed dispersion. Every once in a while, Kremlin seems to give you those dev strikes at max range. But for the most part, this is a ship that needs to be played at closer ranges. If you've played the Soviet battleship line, you probably already know that. This ship, though, is a Tier 9. And you may have already noticed it looks a lot like the Tech Tree Tier 8 Vladivostok. And that's because it is an up-tiered Vladivostok with a few tweaks. Of course, a ship like this one is not going to be cheap, because wargaming these days. They've brought back Wishing Wharf yet again for this Blue Archive event. All of our feedback seems to have not worked on that, by the way. It's so sad. Wishing Wharf is an absolute ripoff, in my opinion. Do not engage with it. It's so expensive. At least, though, they have provided a way for you to directly purchase. So you don't have to loot box gamble your way into getting these ships if you want them. Although they've time limited those direct purchase options. A week only is what you're getting. And for this one, it should be up soon, around the time this video releases. I could say a lot about Wishing Wharf and that, but at least there is an option to buy it outright. So it will only remain a note in this video, and it's not going to take over this whole video like it did with Tennessee being loot box only this update. This ship is a very expensive one, though, thanks to it being Tier 9. Outright purchase price, if it's the same as the other Tier 9 Le Havre, it's going to be 34,450 doubloons. Very expensive, close to $200 Canadian for an up-tiered Vladivostok. Now the tweaks, they are a benefit. The concealment here is a big benefit. 12.1 best detect on this one. Makes it very stealthy. This ship can almost dictate its engagements. It has the ability to push up very aggressively thanks to its improved Soviet armor relative to basically every other battleship at these tiers. Soviet battleships have exposed citadels, but also have some of the best deck armor, upper belt armor, small superstructure, so they don't actually take that much damage. And thanks to these fast cooldown damage controls, they don't actually burn that much either. So if you keep them angled, they should tank for a very long time, which is why we're trying to play it aggressively. Although the torpedoes, that could be a bit of an issue. This ship, though, does get a benefit there. Torp protection is at 46%. This is definitely something we do not see on Soviet battleships. Vladivostok, for example, has a 21% torp protection. And Sovetsk Soyuz, it gets up to 35%, so the Tier 9 Tech Tree version. But 46% is really good. Unfortunately, as I'll show you in port when we look at the armor viewer, it's got a bit of the Yamato problem, where on paper it's got a massive torp protection percentage, but it hardly spans the length of the ship. In fact, it's very much only the center portion, and when we're playing bow in, a lot of our profile that's available to be hit by torps is often going to be our bow, which is not protected at all. So the vast majority of torps I ate with this ship weren't actually hitting the torp protection at all, so it wasn't even benefiting me that much. It is still a benefit, but not that much. It does save me later in this game, though, so watch out for that. This ship has a 20-second uptime on its damage control, though. This is another big change. Usually you get a 10-second active time on these damage controls, and that's the time that you're immune from taking fires or floods, anything like that, after using your damage control party. Here, though, 20 seconds, double the time. And if you take the damage control special module in the first slot, you can push that very close to 30 seconds. And if we do any sort of reduction to our cooldowns, we can get close to half uptime on our damage control, which is pretty fun to work with in a Brawl. It is a nice advantage to have. It doesn't make up for some of the other problems where we're bringing a Tier 8 hull up into Tier 9. We have quite a bit less HP than Soyuz. Soyuz gets 88,100 base health. Hovercraft here, or Zarya S, gets 73,500. So well over 10k less HP. That is a big problem. Another issue is our rudder shift has been massively nerfed. 17.1 second rudder here is painful. And you know what else is painful? Broadside Missouri. 1 torp protection hit. Okay, back to the stats. We got Soyuz with 14.9 second rudder, Vladivostok 13.7 second rudder. So dodging torpedoes is going to be a lot harder here. This is nowhere near as maneuverable. Now, getting into the main guns here, we do get a nice Sigma buff over Vladivostok. It gets the same dispersion, the same Sigma as Sovetsk Soyuz, with a slightly faster reload, actually. 31 seconds versus 33 seconds on Soyuz, 33 seconds on Vlad. Vlad, by the way, gets the same dispersion, just with 1.6 Sigma. Slight difference there, Sigma just being the tendency for your shells to go towards the center of that dispersion ellipse. 18.9 kilometers of range is decent. Soyuz, though, gets 19.4. Vladdy with 18, though, so it is a buff over Vladdy, but you'd expect it to be a lot better, being a tier higher. There's a big problem, though, okay? And that's going to be our turret traverse. It's a 45-second base turret traverse, where Soyuz gets 30-second at tier 9. Vladdy does have 45 as well, so if you're used to that, sure. But at tier 9, we get the 6th upgrade slot on the modules, which we're usually going to be taking reload, which nerfs our turret traverse down. So I actually have an over 50-second turret traverse here with these turrets. And that hurts, okay? Soyuz 30-second is extremely comfortable. Even upwards near 40 seconds, you can manage it. But as soon as we get over 50, it is painful. Of course, the blind shot is the one that gets the Citadel, not the one where they're spotted and we're locked on flat broadside. I have my complaints about the Soviet dispersion table and how it's not actually that accurate. I suppose that's the Sigma consistency not helping us there. Torp protection, though, helping us a lot against that Jaeger, although quite a few of those still hit our bow or our stern sections. And the other party trick, we have a defensive fire. Now, has the AA been buffed up over Vladdy? No. So you're just getting defensive fire on Vladdy AA, which is not very good. So unfortunately, we're taking some multiplicative buffs on our AA from a very small starting number. So it's really not that effective. It is nice to have, I guess, but it's really not that effective. And nowhere near enough to bring this ship to be a tier 9 Vladdy in power level. It's still a bit, I'd rather play Soyuz personally. Now, our torp protection definitely saved us from those deep water torps, kept us alive for a little bit, as did Kuznetsov. Absolutely busted commander, only available on the Soviet ships. Gives you damage control, gives you a heal when you're on low HP. Very nice dispersion, though. 4 sits into the Shinano. Kept us alive just to get that Citadel. Feels good, man. Although I think our extra HP and slightly worse torp protection, we would have still been alive in the Soyuz. Although that's debatable. But personally, I would say we'd probably still be alive in the Soyuz there. So it's a bonus. It's minor. It's super minor buffs over a Vladivostok put up at tier 9. The biggest change probably is the reload and these longer duration damage controls. Everything else feels very minor. The downside of the turret traverse feels very bad, though. I definitely have been noticing that while playing it. But it's been a little bit disappointing. As I played through it, I had to check multiple times in the Ship Tool website to see what the actual differences were. I thought I was missing something the whole time I was playing this ship. Because the other ships we've been playing, the Kelowna, the Le Havre, insane secondary buffs, battle cruiser dispersion on Kelowna, like crazy differences to the tech tree counterparts. Very unique playstyles, and well, that makes them more desirable, right? It kind of makes sense given how expensive they're making these things, unfortunately. But this one, pretty easy pass, honestly, which is kind of nice for all of us who don't want to spend $200 Canadian on a ship, or try to go the Wishing Wharf gambling route and then end up spending more than what the direct purchase price would be just to not get the ship we want. Because that is an option, a very likely option in a lot of these Wishing Wharf events. Maybe I've been too hard on Wishing Wharf, huh? Maybe because the outrage has been so consistently negative on Wishing Wharf, maybe we gotta do some reverse psychology, employ some psychological tricks of our own. You know, these game devs are hiring a lot of psychologists these days. Maybe we got to start employing some of those tricks ourselves. Maybe we got to praise Wishing Wharf, and then they won't do it. Maybe that's the I'm just joking. It's despair these days, man, with all these events coming into the game. I talked about it a bunch with Tennessee, but oh, it's so sad the direction we're going here with these new updates. This anniversary update better be good, man. I haven't looked into it too hard yet with like all of the dev blogs or anything like that, but 10th anniversary of the game. I hope that there's something good for free-to-play players, because it's been rough out here this year in 2025. Wishing Wharf slammed through and just gambling only ships. It's really, really sad direction Wargaming is going, and consistently going. It's not that they've tried this, realized the mistake, listened to the community feedback, and pivoted. No. They've just ignored the community feedback. It's really sad. But I'll continue to make these videos and keep pointing these things out, certainly. That was the feedback given on Tennessee. Really appreciate all the comments on that video. And I think the direction we're going in is pretty solid. We definitely need to call out these problems, but also still want to play the game and enjoy it, because it still is a very good game that we still enjoy playing. Just wish the monetization and development efforts were in a different direction. So we gotta try to move that forward with Wargaming, if they would ever listen. We're doing a decent job of bow tanking though, speaking of getting back to just playing the game and enjoying it. This ship is very tanky when people don't catch your broadside, when you don't have to eat torpedoes, when there's no carriers, and you can play a bit of this full bow-in tank role. The guns are trolly though. I've tried to include examples where the guns perform really well as just the guns doing essentially zero, or actually zero in the case of that broadside Missouri. Here into the broadside Massachusetts, all 6 shells hit and we get decent damage. No Citadel, but it's still pretty good damage. It's just not particularly consistent, and that is quite frustrating. Something that happens, or you'll maybe realize when you try to push in this game, especially in a battleship, you often only have one opportunity to catch someone off guard when they're broadside. Typically, if you catch someone at closer ranges, you get that one shot, and if it misses, well, they're probably going to angle to you, and you're not going to get that broadside opportunity again. And maybe your entire position of playing aggressive, playing pushed up, was only survivable or only a viable position based on that one salvo actually doing good damage. And when it doesn't, maybe that position you've taken is untenable. So are we really willing to bet our entire match on our positioning on one salvo? That seems like a bad idea. Just to walk you through some of the thought process of why we may see some of these ships playing a little further back. Maybe it's that people just don't want to try to push in these days. I don't know. But for me personally, I definitely find myself not pushing every time that I could, because I'm always trying to make this calculation in the back of my mind. Is my ship, is my position pushed up going to result in a do or die single salvo that my entire match relies on for it to be a good position, or my ship is sunk? And if it is, I'm not going to make that push. Perhaps that's decent game design, and that we shouldn't be playing so aggressive that we're reliant on a single salvo. But when people are this broadside, I feel like we should be rewarded at least somewhat consistently, right? Like, right? It's a broadside Kearsarge, man. What does this game come to? This is why I just hate playing Battleship sometimes, guys. We get the salvos, and honestly, we get the salvos too often when people are angled and it's just overmatch damage. We get the damage then. But when people make this insane broadside stationary push out and then reverse, I mean, we don't even get a Citadel there. It's just despair, man. Sometimes. Not every time, but this is one of the reasons I think people just don't want to push in, because this is just so frustrating to deal with, especially if you end up dying because that salvo didn't connect. And as for the build here on this ship, we're just gonna fully tank build this one. I tried to play aggressive. I tried some meme builds. In fact, tried something like this. Buffing our reload even further with long-range secondaries to get more close quarters combat. Tried more furious stuff. Definitely want grease the gears on this ship. We still have a 43-second turret traverse. Full tank, trying to buff with vigilance or trying to go with a defense and ASW expert is good, but that turret traverse was such a pain point that I ended up having to forgo even this A defense and ASW expert, which I love so much these days. So this is the build I think you probably should go for if you end up getting this one. Don't run this on the main line, Soviet line, just because they have great turret traverse once you get to tier 9. The Soyuz has really good turret traverse, so you could go vigilance, but actually A defense and ASW expert I really like. Anytime the planes are around, you just get 40% cooldown on your consumables. It's really nice for trying to survive. When you're pushed up, you're likely going to be the focused target from the enemy carrier, which is kind of how things go. The concealment here is great. Your rudder shift is horrible. Your speed is okay. Your A is essentially useless. Defensive fire does not buff it nearly enough. Your secondaries aren't buffed. It's just standard dispersion. The reload's not great. Your pen is pretty bad as well. These 100 mils don't even pen superstructures. They don't even pen DDs in certain areas too. It's quite bad. And if you try to go IFHE, then these don't even pen 32. So it's not a secondary ship, okay? It's a close range brawler, but main gun focused with bad turret traverse. It's a bit of a strange one. We're lacking HP here. The armor layout is decent, but, you know, exposed 32 mil bow here. It's very small superstructure, 50 mil deck armor, 50 mil upper belt. Very, very tanky when bow in like this. Kiting, you start to get some of these shot traps in here, right? So you catch some shells when you're kited away. But bow on, definitely a very, very strong tanking ship. You're not going to get overmatched citadeled often, like close range like this, just because you have this, not full icebreaker, but it is there. But the problem is this is all your torpedo protection is. So it doesn't really cover any of our bow. And this is a big problem. Much like Yamato, you're not going to be exposed, you're trying not to expose your broadside because it's very vulnerable. This is your citadel. It's above water, very easy to hit. So we're trying to angle in like this, and suddenly more than half of the profile that can be hit by torps if we're angled like this is not protected by the torp protection. So it's not actually helping us all that often. And a lot of torps are going to hit you right in here if you're angling. And here's where you'll be able to find it. Please, please don't engage with Wishing Wharf. This is just horrible. If you didn't know, you actually have to get each ship twice. On this account here has each one of these ships. But I could still unlock each ship again and receive a small amount of compensation. It's not like they're removed from the drop pool. Okay, this is why Wishing Wharf is so bad. It's actually nested drops, I guess. Like you have to get each drop twice for it to truly be removed from the drop pool. It gets very expensive then to guarantee anything, which is why it's good. There's a direct purchase option. This one will be available in 2 days from when I'm recording this. Should be up around the time this video, maybe a little after this video. I expect it to be this price though. Very, very, very expensive for a tier 9 because it's an Admiral pack only. There's no direct purchase of just the ship, unfortunately. But at least there is a direct purchase option. Unlike over here with Tennessee. This game is not the monetization. It's not the gambling section as much as Wargaming's pushing that these days. This game is about clicking battle and having fun brawling it out against other ships. And this one does okay with it, but it's not that interesting compared to the tech tree versions. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching and have a great rest of your day.